Today we're going to explain what kind of information could be found on the motor nameplate. In the timestamps below you will have the different sections of information. The digit 3 with a mode afterwards is a symbol for that it is a 3-phase motor. The next part is a code that explains the electrical properties of the motor. Then we have the 1TZ9 code, and it explains whether or not it's an aluminum or a cast iron motor, the IE class, the building size of the motor, the mounting form of the motor, speed of motor, what power output there is on the motor, and so on. Next is serial number of the motor. And this number we could use to track the motor, where it was produced, and exactly the specifications of the motor. And then we have the I class of the motor. It's how energy efficient is a motor. Then we have a big H in a circle, and that is to explain that the motor is balanced with half key. And then we have the CE marking of the motor. And that could also be a UKCA marking for the Great Britain market, a CSA for Canadian Standardization Authorization, or a UL for the American Underwriters Laboratories marking, and so on. Then we have the specification of the motor according to the IEC code 60034, and that is for rotating electrical machines. Then we have the building frame size of the motor. It is IEC size 200. Then we have the mounting position of the motor, and that's a B5. Then we have the IP code of the motor. It's IP55, which is our standard. IP stands for protection of the motor. Then we have the weight of the motor in kilograms. We have the insulation class of the motor. This is a class F. That means that the winding is able to tolerate temperatures to up to 155 degrees centigrade. Then we have what the motor is intended for, according to the ambient temperature. This is a standard motor. It's from minus 20 degrees centigrade to plus 40 degrees centigrade. And you have the bearings on the drive side. It's a DE, drive end, and the NE is non-drive end. We have the grease that is intended to be used, and how much and how often are you supposed to re-grease the motors. Bear in mind that if it's hot, it could be that you need to re-grease them more often. First column is what voltage the motor is winded for and how to connect them. Delta or Y or star. Then we have the frequency in hertz. You have how many amps the motor is running on at full power. Then we have the power of the motor in kilowatts. And we have the power factor of the motor, followed by the efficiency of the motor, the speed of the motor, the IE class or efficiency class of the motor. To the right, we have the locked rotor torque class, which is used to decide what size of circuit breaker you need when you start the motor. And in general, an A is less amps needed to start the motor, and the higher the letter, the more amps is needed. And at the very bottom of the motor nameplate, you have a small number that says O for order, and then you have the digit number for the order. And this is to indicate that modification has been done at the motor in our workshop. If we get this number, we can see exactly how the motor was modified, when and by whom. And that's all for this episode. Be assured we will be back with more information in a later episode.